Good morning, Golf Clash Pros 2B. This morning I want to go over setting up Gridlines on your iPad. Not familiar with the iPhone, and I'm pretty sure you can't do this with Android. But setting up these Gridlines. See the gridline, this gridline here, and most importantly, the one down the middle. And I'm going to show you where those come into play. These grid lines up here are just, they've got to be there. Nothing I can do about it. Don't really use them much, but these two down here, that's our money. And I'm going to show you how and where. So first thing in setting up, I want to go ahead and show you a little bit of gameplay of why they're important, how it actually works. I'm going to go into practice session over here, and we'll play a quick game, or at least a hole or so, and show you. I'm just going to go over here so we get a little more time. Practice now. Another thing that I did do from the last video, I did put Golf Clash on this iPad, believe it or not. There it is. Or notebook. I mean, a notebook is now on here. I'll show you a little bit more of that as well. But as soon as the game comes on, I'm going to plug in my wind. All right, I know I have a Power 3 ball already. I have a Kingmaker in the slot. So I'm going to do my wind and my direction, and I'll guess the elevation real quick. Hopefully I'm first. Nope. But if I was first, I would slide this over. I'm looking at wind of 3.5 miles an hour. I know it's going from my back over to the left, and it looks like 10% elevation. So my digits are right. 3.2.
Perfect shot.
Is going to be my wind. On my APOC 6. 3.2 is going to be the max distance for my wind. To get this off my screen, I'm going to take my finger and slide it to the right, and it's gone. So I know 3.2 are my ring adjustments. I'm going to give this ball some top spin here. Try to keep it in the middle. Adjusting my rings. See, this is where it's going to come important. I know that using the wind app, it says 3.2. 3.2. Come on. Give it to me. This might become a problem grabbing my pointer. Anyway, 3.2 are the amount of rings. I'm going to have to move that pointer. So I'm going to adjust. I know that the center is 2 rings. Now I'm at 3. There's 3.2 rings. I want to pull in a straight fashion. 3.2 rings. And swing away. I'll give it a little overpower. Perfect. Oh,
great shot.
Fail. Not a big deal because there's plenty of room there. And there we go. I'm going to move this. Alright, so let's say it was my turn. 4.5 mile an hour wind. Actually, it's in the same direction, so I don't have to change that. On this shot, I'm just going to assume it's still 10%, but if it wasn't, I could change it right here. All my elevation changes are right here, so I could change the elevation up here. Actually, I know that that's an uphill shot from experience, so there we go. Now, depending on what club I'm going to use, they're all set up already, if that was my shot.
Great shot. Nice on.
Right, now it's my shot. Wind is 3.9 miles an hour. It's still kind of in. I'm gonna go straight ahead. Now it is kind of crooked. Okay. Now we got to figure out what club we're using. See, this is where I don't like the wind assist, because I want to make my adjustment and then figure out what club I have. All right, so I'm using a max Grizzly, and then I'll do a little backswing. Max Grizzly is my long iron, so Max Grizzly is 4.3. It went back over here, didn't it? 4.3. So get that off my screen. Yeah, I don't like that on my screen. 4.3. Now I gotta hurry. 4.3. I gotta slop one up there. Gotta make it.
Perfect shot.
Yep. You know, the elevation means a lot. Oh, look at that. That's how you adjust things.
Eagle.
Alright, so how do we set up the other thing I'm going to show you, and I actually showed you a minute ago, is with that bottom grid line, when you're doing, when you're having to do a curl shot and sling your shot over to the right, that grid line is going to allow you to have a reference point so you don't overpower. So you have a starting point, you see that you've got about 1/4 of an inch, and as you pull that ball way over to the right or to the left, you can maintain that 1/4 inch and know that you're pretty close to no overpower. Because the last thing you want to do is pull, far right and don't want any overpower, and you have overpower, and now you've overshot, you've clipped the rub, and now you're in trouble. Okay, so here's how you set up your grids on an iPad. You're going to go over to your settings, okay, and then over here you have accessibility right here. So you're going to click accessibility, okay. Then over here, voice control. Okay, mine's on already, but you're gonna go over to voice control. Okay, click voice control. Then you're gonna on. Mine just turned off. You're gonna slide that on right there. Okay. Then you're gonna come down here to overlay. Okay, and click overlay. Then you're gonna come right here and click numbered grid. Okay, mine's on, so I would check right there. Numbered grid comes on. Then make sure your settings are the same. Automatic dimming off, dimmed opacity 100%. Tap by default is slid on. Number of rows 4. Number of columns 2. So number of rows, I'm going to click number of rows. Then you would go down here to 4 and click 4. Okay, that's going to give you 4 rows. 1, 2, 3. So 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's your 4 rows. Click that 4 rows. Then you go back to overlay. And then number of columns, you want 2. There's 2 marked. 2 is marked. Columns, 1 column, 2 column. That gives you that middle line. And you're done. Now, one thing I wish you could just set up the grid lines without voice control. I don't know why they did that, but voice control can get you in some trouble sometimes, because your iPad now is listening for commands, and when you're in a section that you can talk in, I think I can go here. It might do it. When you're in a section that you can talk in, it's going to type while you're talking, and that could cause problems. And even sometimes the game voice, great shot, will pop up on your screen while you're trying to type in the chat. Let me get out of there so it quits talking. But that's how you set up the grid lines in Golf Clash. So the next video I show will be using the grid lines, using the Wind Assist app, and learning to play the game with the Wind Assist app and the grid lines. So we will talk soon.